and media support. So we did fewer, but we're going deeper, and we're pretty excited about where the program is at. So enough about Rise. I want to talk about all of you. So let's start with our very first question, which will just be the tee up for everybody in the room if we can. So let's do the usual, your name of your business, even though I already said that, cover it again, how long you've been in business, and then what motivated you? You know, was it something that this particular business is just something you're passionate about? Was it about the transition from military to civilian life? Was it something you learned in the military that enabled you to go bigger? Was it a gap you experienced? And certainly in your case, Shatoya, you embarked on being a co-owner with a veteran. And before you answer the question, I just want to circle back to the bios. The bios are super interesting because you'll learn that she has decided to start a business with her husband, which I think some of us know can have its own set of challenges. She's also a mother of 6. And then with Neo, you'll see his broad background in all areas around ID and cyber as well. And then for Quentin, I think you were incredibly courageous taking on a restaurant as you faced down COVID and all the adversity associated with that. So again, 3 incredible entrepreneurs with 3 incredible backgrounds. So, all right, so with that, let's start with, I guess Shatoya, you're next to me, so we'll start with Nehemiah.
My name is Nehemiah Harvard, and you can call me Neo. Medstore started with a passion once I exited the Air Force. I have 2 tours to Iraq, and as I'm transitioning out of the Air Force, they can't find my medical records. The events that I've experienced in Iraq, they had no documentation for it. So now that puts me in a space where I was denied benefits for the longest period of time. It took me partnering with a lawyer to get my benefits. It took 5 years though, right? So the goal for us is to be able to get those same resources and benefits to veterans as they transition. The medical records, also understanding their benefits and how to actually obtain them. It's so much out there in regards to navigating veteran benefits. It's sickening how difficult they make it, right? And it can be really simple, you know, especially like yourself as a spouse. A lot of people don't know that your husband, if he was to pass away for whatever disability that's on his service connection, that pension goes to you. That pension goes to you, and then somebody can, all the fact checkers can check, but once you pass away, it goes on to your daughter. It's a family thing in pension, right? So without this information, a lot of generations are just lost. You know, so that's what's the passion of Mentorship. So we specialize in IT healthcare, EHR, and radiology, automation, and certain things like that, but that was the birth of it. We started about 2019, COVID, and everything else, but then we began to chip at the block. We started with customer discovery. We understood who our client was, our competition, and then we reverse engineered it. Now we figured out, okay, well, this is our competition, this is what they suck at, and then we make it better. You know, so that was the beginning.
Nice. All right, well, good. So again, 3 very different backgrounds and 3 very different businesses. So let's go to question number 2. I think folks would be interested. You started to allude to it a little bit. What's been the biggest challenge you've had with starting up or even running your business? Okay, so for this next question, either pull out your phones or your paper and your pen. Because, Neo, I'm going to ask you this question. So sticking with challenges for a minute, one of the things that you and I talked about was, and you actually alluded to it a moment ago, there are so many resources. It's like mind-numbing trying to know where to go. And I think that you have a pretty healthy list of resources that either people preparing to start up or who are running their business should be considering. So I was just going to put it out there and say, share with the folks the resources they should be using.
Right, let's get started. Because one of the things I understood early on, and I pride myself on this, is mentorship, right? Seek advisory, okay? You don't have to do it alone, right? There's too many resources out here specifically for veterans that you do not have to do it alone, right? Score.org. Score.org is a great resource, free mentorship. These are executives of, you know, Fortune 500 companies or very successful companies. They volunteer, you know, they're paid through the government, but they are doing it with the purpose to help small businesses, okay? If you have a SCORE mentor and you know, give them a bit of advice or something, tell them about your business, even if he doesn't have the resources, he knows someone that he can call to bring to the table, like, I believe this guy's best, right? But they will put you on a path where you can start your business plan, get you some financial forecasts. The SBA actually changed how they issue loans. They used to focus on historical financials, now they're projections. Now if you can show, okay, we're a subscription-based business, you know, if we acquire X amount of customer retention over X amount of years, we can make this much. And they're more interested in that in your advisory team. So a lot of those core mentors would be great to put on your advisory team. Another resource for veterans that I believe would be, if I could start all over again and do it sooner, would be the National Veterans Institute of Procurement, via nationalvip.org. This particular program is free. It's a 27-hour course, 3 days, and it's comprehensive. The whole point of this program is to arm veterans with the resources to win in the federal marketplace. I know it sounds like I'm doing a commercial, but I'm not associated with them. I am attending the startup though, all right? I'm grateful for that. I applied last year and they messaged me in July, like, hey, you sure you wanna be here? And I was like, of course. But they have a startup cohort and they also have a grow cohort. The startup cohort has criteria. You have to be registered in SAMS. You have to have a active registration in SAMS, a business plan, and at least 2 employees, yourself, your spouse, so on and so forth. That's the criteria for the startup. To get into the grow program, you have to have all those same first 3 plus a minimum of $500,000 in revenue. Now, don't let that scare you, okay? Because this particular program, a survey was done out of 400 veterans. They stated after their first year of completing the startup, their revenue grew 77%. That's the first year. So that 77% gets you into the GROW program. And then the GROW program has even higher growth potentials. Right now, I think the survey said it was about 180% after that second year. So that's another great resource I believe is beneficial. If I can start all over again, that is something that will trim that learning curve tremendously. One more that Rodney actually mentioned to me just recently was SBC. Rodney, keep me honest on this one, right?
You're right.
Okay, thank you. Because this particular program is a conference as well, right? NVSBC. This particular program is just as comprehensive as the VIP, but they're a little more gutsy. Like the last day of the program, they're like, hey, we matching y'all up. It's matchmaking time, like speed dating, but for business. So now you're sitting at a table, you're talking to somebody for 5 minutes. What do you do? Okay, this is what you need. Okay, contract, sign. Money is being generated within the program. These are resources that no one told us. Who told you this? No, it's word of mouth. A lot of these programs aren't allowed to advertise because it's a stipulation, but it's something that I believe would be resources that every veteran should take advantage of if they're interested in the startup.
Nice. So, all right, well, let's go to question number 4. Starting a business, you kind of alluded to this a little bit. Starting a business is one thing. Growing a business is another thing and can have its own set of challenges. So how does a small business grow? And I'll kind of plant some seeds. Is it through social media? Is it through certifications and education? Is it good old-fashioned preparedness, roll up your sleeves and get to work? Is it tools? Is it something else? Mio, I've got you first on this one.
All of the above.
Okay.
All right, continue to come to conferences just like this. Show up. Number 1, show up. These conferences are special because it puts all of us in one pot where your vulnerability is, you don't have a mask on. Be who you are. Provide the resources, a product, whatever else it may be. Scan, right? You put me on the digital business card. So I've been scanning all day, right? But the beautiful thing is these conferences come all the time, and it's all over the place. The NVBC, we just talked about that one. There's another one, Veterans in Business Conference coming up next year, right? Or actually it's in November, right? It's just conferences. Show up, network, take your show on the road. If you believe in your business enough to take the show on the road, to talk to people, put a face to the name, it's going to be enough to get you to that space to where social media becomes easier, right? Your branding becomes easier because now you're comfortable in your skin. You don't mind showing your face, right? You don't mind recording that video, that commercial, or certain things like that. You really get comfortable in your skin and you believe in the product before anyone else will, but I say all of the above.
I think when I was reading the polls associated with the topic of growth, the answers were everything from acquiring and retaining customers, it was digital marketing, it was the social media, it was the networking, it was all of those. That's great.
Because it was something that Quinn said that stuck out to me. Strategic partnerships.
Absolutely.
You can't have enough of those. In fact, the Rise, the grant that I applied for, I only knew about it because my mom goes to this massive church that every day they're talking about entrepreneurship. And they got this screen where they just flip through grants. My mom saw one, Comcast Rise for Veterans. She took a picture, sent it to me, and was like, "Baby, you need to go and apply to this." I was like, "You sure?" "Yeah, okay, I'll do it." Right, so I applied, I won, and then I was able to use it for her toothpaste brand. But the partnership that you have, just like with your mom being here, these are things that we have to get these strategic partnerships even at the highest level, because as of right now, technology is my lane, but because technology is dominated by 5 companies, by default, they have to partner with you because they're outside of that small business scope. They can't get that contract because they've exceeded it. Call them up, go to their website, sign up to their portal, get a program, get in the program with them, because the more you grow in their products, they're going to give you additional resources. So strategic partnerships is something I would say expands your business and also gives you the resources to grow.
Yeah, no pressure on you, but next up.
Yep. I want to piggyback on something you said in regards to data. It's great to follow your passion, but make data-driven decisions, right? Just because you have something that you're passionate about, you don't know if somebody actually needs that. Is that really what the market needs, right? That was a question when I was working with American SVP. I was like, I got this great idea, and then he looked at me and was like, well, who's your customer? Who's going to buy that? And I looked at him like, okay. Gotta go back to it. So he hooked me up with some surveys, we did a customer discovery, and then we started reverse engineering and looking at the competition. And he broke it down to the point where, look at the data. Who's buying your product? Now in the federal space, it's a bit easier. We use usaspending.gov. That website, you will be able to see who's buying what by NAICS codes. The VA is one of the biggest consumers of products that we offer, and we basically, once you understand where the money is being spent, you just can align yourself and become a conduit, right? And then something else you brought up was about HR and managing people. The definition of a CEO doesn't mean you need to know everything, right? You just need to be able to hire the right people around you to do it, right? Outsource the HR work if it's too difficult for you. Outsource the CPA work. Outsource the things that's consuming your time that you should be focused on other stuff, right? You're working on the business, right? So I honestly believe that enough resources like we've been discussing here today is probably something. I wish this was around when I first started, because everything you're getting today is pure gemstones. These are gemstones.
So I want to leave time for just maybe a couple of questions, but I'm going to attempt to wrap what I heard. So what I heard was innovate and adapt. What I heard was use your resources and follow the money. What I heard was figure out what the marketplace needs and fill that need. And then what I heard collectively is it's all about relationships and networking to make it all happen. I'm going to throw one very tactical, very boring thing out there on my piece. And that is that as a small business, do not ignore security. And I'm talking about cybersecurity. So I've had the pleasure of being married to a small business owner for 36 years, long time. But so often when you're running a small business and you're on a tight budget, you might let that go. But let me assure you, and I'm sorry to assure you of this, it's not a matter of if you're going to have a security issue, it's a matter of when. So whoever your internet service provider is, make sure you take advantage of whatever security solution they have to protect you. It's well worth the investment. Okay, so with that, maybe open up to questions. I see the gentleman here.
Yeah, could you speak to financial literacy and how that was part of your whole process? Because quality that we have going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody?
Anyway, okay, well, when you say financial literacy, we gotta, there's a spectrum, right? There's a huge spectrum, right? So depending on where we start with it, I can honestly say we don't have to go to the CPAs and know about it. I'm not a tax guy. But what I do know is numbers, right? If you look at that financial forecast and you understand the data, you will understand what the market is doing based on customer retention. This is information in regards to just scaling, something I've used with the subscription model that we're actually testing out or whatnot. But financial literacy is huge. If you don't have the initial aptitude for it, get a mentor that can actually be your CFO. One other thing too, Enrolled Agent, right? Enrolled Agent. If you're going online and just look up Enrolled Agents, it's a quick course. Should take about $30, but it's specific to just business taxes. And these are things where, within this course, you're going to learn a lot about the tax codes, different, I'm not going to say loopholes, but, tax avoidance is legal. That's all I'm saying.
And this is being recorded.
In that same vein, you're also protecting yourself and
Correct.
And
That's
your
right.
investment, and
That's
indeed the grant that you received. So I'm from the standpoint of somebody who's a startup, that to me is probably the cornerstone.
Yes.
Because you have the ability to acquire a grant, but how do you utilize that? How do you plan on that? Like you say, how do you create a safety net?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I think we have time for one more question if there are any others out there. I've got one in the back, yes.
I'm representing the Veteran Entrepreneurs Group and the Growth Innovation Center. I have a live question on the church. Mr. Howard, you can share for veterans who are looking for a church. I've never heard of a church that shares grant opportunities.
Okay.
Please.
Oh yes, Detroit, Michigan is where I'm from. And the name of the church is Global Empowerment. It's on the east side, 7 Mile Van Dyke, where I grew up, right down the street. I played ball. But the church itself, their goal is literally to rebuild the community through business, creating. So everybody in the church, I mean, if it's like this, everybody in the church has a business. And this is how they structure it. Your business, you have trash bags. Everybody uses trash bags, so they buy your brand. The pastor itself has a partnership with Goldman Sachs. My mom is in the cohort for Goldman Sachs, where they have this thing, I believe it's called 1 million women, 1 million black women. She's in the cohort. Towards the end of it, she will receive her $1 million grant. These are resources that the church just spits out, and the goal of it all is to just rebuild the community.
So this was incredible. Thank you, the three of you, for your time. As we were talking about the whole RISE program and the community and the church, I think really reminded me that part of the RISE program is we do keep a list of all the recipients. So if you would like to do business with other small businesses, check out ComcastRISE.com and you'll find out more information about the program, but you should also be able to find out the names of the businesses that have been recipients, and maybe there'll be businesses you can patron as well.
Yeah.
So we have, at 4 o'clock, we have a mixer. I believe there's going to be light appetizers on these 2 walls here. There will be beverages out the door. But I think it'd be a great opportunity for us to share digital and paper contacts. Both are good. But let's really, I think it'd be great for us to get together, share that contact, and actually talk more about some of what each and every one of us is experiencing and how we can all grow and raise all boats together. So with that, thank you everybody. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today.